mantle, he said, "Excuse me, I've got something I have to do." He paused to fill his silver hip flask with more whiskey. Nancy waited in silence, but he felt the cold bluster of her temper, as if she'd scolded him aloud. It was too much to hope she wouldn't follow him. He could hear the busy tap-tap of her cane as she shuffled along behind him, down the central hall toward the back of the big house. In his parents' day, the gun room had been a hive of activity on hunt mornings, when neighbors from all over Northampton County came to call. Now the room contained only the most necessary of firearms: a Lamat revolver, a percussion shotgun, and a Winchester repeating rifle. He went to the gun cabinet and took down the Winchester, cocking open the side loading gate to make sure it was well oiled. It was. He had known this moment was coming. In preparation, he had lit himself with whiskey, but suddenly strong drink wasn't enough. He looped a deerskin sack of 4440 cartridges to his belt, then stood for a moment at the window, staring out the wavy glass at the broad gardens of Albion. Dogwood and rhododendron grew profusely at the verges, though the flower beds had a weedy, untended look. "You best get a move on," said Nancy. "Miss Beaumont took the children off to lessons at Bonne Terre for the day, and you want this dirty business done 'fore they get back." "I reckon I do." He flinched, picturing his son, Blue's, silent censure when the boy learned what had happened in his absence. Blue had suffered so much loss already, and here his own father was about to take something else from him. A wave of self-loathing washed over Hunter. Earlier that morning, he had sat down to breakfast with the children, putting jam on Belinda's biscuit and pouring the cream for Blue, pretending, God, always pretending, that things were right between them. With her strange, unerring sense of direction, Nancy joined him at the window and caught hold of his arm. "I'm real sorry, son. I'm just as sorry as I can be," she said, gently fingering a rip in the sleeve of his shirt. "I know you are, honey." He stared down at the dark, papery dry hand, the knuckles gnarled and shiny with rheumatism. That hand had soothed his feverish brow when he was a baby and dried his little boy tears. It had mended his breeches with a lightning flash of the needle and, when the occasion warranted it, delivered a smack to his backside a time or two, though never without drawing him into a hug afterward. And when he had signed the manumission papers to set her free, that trembling hand had cupped his cheek, her touch more eloquent than the words she could not summon. Nancy's mothering hand couldn't soothe him now. His nervous fingers strayed to the slim hip flask in his pocket, but he didn't take it out. Nothing could soothe him this morning. "I'll be back by and by, honey," he said to Nancy, then stepped out on the veranda. Setting his jaw, he jerked open the gate of the rifle and loaded the cartridges. Then he hitched back his shoulders and strode down the steps to the walkway. The brilliant Virginia morning mocked him with its bright promise. Thready high clouds veined the April sky, and sunlight flooded extravagantly down through the twisted live oaks of Albion. The long misty acres rose up into the sloping green hills. At one time, the Tidewater plantation had been as busy as a small village. Tobacco fields had covered hundreds of acres. The cultivation and curing of the leaves had occupied hundreds of hands. Now everything had changed. All that remained were Hunter and his children, a small staff of misfits, and a dream that was about to be shattered. Not for the first time, he contemplated giving up, selling out. Would a prospective buyer notice the chipping paint on the soaring columns that flanked the entranceway? Would he see the brambles and creeper that encroached on the once pristine lawn? Would a buyer see the work and sweat that had gone into the riding hall, the round pen and lunging ring, the barns and paddocks, and the only mile-oval racing track in the county? With the mares and